What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. And today, guys, we are here for World's Biggest Collectors, episode 49, and I am joined by Brandon with Cinefessions, which I've been a fan of Brandon's channel for the longest time, so the fact that it's taken this long for us to do something together is absolutely crazy, but he has a great YouTube channel where he discusses all things movies and physical media and comic books and manga and CDs and music, and just he collects everything. We have a deep dive discussion just getting into all of it, the collector's mindset, where physical media is going in the future. We have a great discussion, so I hope you guys enjoy this episode of World's Biggest Collectors. Definitely give Brandon from Cinefessions a follow, a subscribe. All of his links are down below in the description. Hope you enjoy the episode. Let's go. What is up, everybody? Welcome to World's Biggest Collectors, episode 49, the show where we bring on the biggest physical media collectors in the YouTube and social media spaces. And I am very happy today to have on somebody that I've been following on YouTube, on Instagram for a very long time. I feel like this conversation is a very long time coming. I have on Brandon from Cinefessions. What's going on, man?
Not much, Ken. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you. Like you said, it feels like a long time coming. We've been following each other for quite a while now. So
it does. I feel like I've been watching your channel since I pretty much got started on YouTube. So it's crazy that we haven't met up and done something by now. But
right.
I feel like that's my fault. I should have had you on by now. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm happy that you're here today to talk, and you're here on World's Biggest Collectors, episode 49. So before we get into it, I'm going to ask you a variety of questions about you, your collection, just your mentality as a collector. We'll talk about, some of your preferences when it comes to physical media collecting as well. I'm going to let you kind of, promote yourself and your channel real quick and let everybody know what you're all about over at Cinefessions. The floor is yours, sir.
Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah. So I'm on YouTube at Cinefessions. I talk all things media. That's kind of my thing. So books, movies, video games, graphic novels. I started talking about manga recently. I need to get back into that a little bit more. But yeah, so anything physical media, anything media really, I'm into. And so that's what I talk about on my channel. Lots of hauls, do 4K reviews, other reviews, kind of random stuff like that. A lot of thrift store hauls. Been looking at those lately. So yeah, that's what I'm doing over at Cinefessions. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. Don't really use those nearly as much, but you can find me there if you're interested. So
awesome stuff. And I will have all of your links down below in the description. And I would encourage everybody to go subscribe to Cinefessions. Go follow him on Instagram, on Twitter. Are you on TikTok yet? Are you doing any funny physical media dances on TikTok yet?
I'm sure not. I have a TikTok account just kind of to seal it or, to secure it, but I have not posted a single thing on there yet.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I'm so far outside of my wheelhouse.
I'm still not used to it. Like I've tried, like, I feel like I'll ramp up and do like 5 or 6 videos in a week, and then I won't do anything for like 2 weeks. And then I'll try to get a couple out, and it's just, I mean, it's okay. It's different for sure, but I'm more of a long form content kind of guy. And I feel like you're the same as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Because a lot of your videos kind of run pretty long, I would say. And those are the kind of videos I enjoy watching, to be honest. And it's like I'm very long-winded, and I just can't get my thoughts out on something like 60 seconds. So I've just been doing like some silly things on there and interacting with some of the other people in the community. It's kind of strange because you get on TikTok and it opens up like a whole nother sector of like physical media collectors, because there's like TikTok only collectors on there. So it's kind of cool to kind of discover new people and stuff like that. But
yeah, you had someone on recently. It was Movies with Leo. Like I don't really know him very well, but I was watching your interview or your discussion with him and found him on TikTok. So I do watch a little bit of TikTok. I'm honestly very little, but I like finding new collectors on there to follow. So that was a cool discovery.
Yeah, he makes some really fun content. Like that's the kind of thing that I think you should use TikTok for, just doing like little fun, like physical media based content, or if that's what you're into, whatever you're into. But he makes it fun. But yeah, TikTok is definitely a different animal than YouTube for sure. But all
Yeah.
right, so let's get into. Well, first off, let me start by asking, what have you been into recently with physical media purchases? What's some of your recent pickups? What's some of your recent movies you've been watching? Just what's been going on with you over at Cinefessions? What have you been into lately?
Yeah. So I've not been buying a whole ton of stuff lately. Well, until this recent week here, but I'm on. I just had my baby, and so I'm on leave, and my wife is on leave, and so she's back to work now. I have a couple
Oh, I knew
weeks
you had a
left.
kid. Would you? Is this your second kid?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Second.
My second kid, my
Awesome.
son.
Well,
So
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So I've been spending a little bit less than normal, but I did finally pick up the Paranormal Activity set. Like I've been eyeing it since it came out,
Oh, the
and I just
box set.
yeah, because I had
Oh
like
yeah, I got
there's
it.
a
I
big
got it.
hole in my
It's a
collection.
centerpiece up there. I love it.
Exactly. So I finally did it. It went down to like 55 or something at Best Buy, and so I was pretty much a impulse purchase at that point. So I picked that one up. Haven't started on those yet. I've actually been trying to do some like 2022 catch up. I just watched like Nope. I actually finished this morning,
Oh yeah.
and I loved that. That was crazy. I watched Megan finally on
You watch it on
Peacock.
Peacock? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I liked it. It was fun. It was stupid, but I mean, like, it's fun.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. It reminded me. Did you ever watch the show Black Mirror? Black
Yes.
Mirror on Netflix. It kind of
Oh
reminded
no,
me of.
I keep mixing those up.
It's like an anthology show where like
Yes, I
every
did.
every episode's a different story, but it
Hmm.
kind of reminded me of like a longer form episode of Black Mirror. Maybe just
Yeah,
a little bit more silly. I don't know. Black
right.
Mirror had some silly episodes as well, so I think it would have fit right in with that type of show. But what kind of turned me on to you and your channel a little bit when I started watching you is I realized you're such a big fan of like found footage movies, and so am I. So are the
Yeah,
Paranormal Activity movies like some of your favorite of that genre?
I do love them. Honestly, the first one I don't even like that much. I don't know. I've
Oh,
seen it
really?
so much, but I just like the first time I saw it, I didn't
The
love it,
third
and
one's
I've
the
just
best, right?
not loved it. Yes, I love Paranormal Activity 3. That is my
That's the
favorite of the
best.
franchise with the kids. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so creepy. And I remember watching that one in theaters because the first one, I can't remember if I ended up seeing that in theaters or if I missed it in theaters, and then I watched the subsequent ones in theaters. And number 3 really got me. I loved that one. So,
Yeah, that
but
is the only movie to this day I almost walked out of the theater. I was so scared because like the end when she opens up that door and all those old ladies are standing there holding the
oh
candles. I
yeah,
was like, "Nah, this ain't me. Like I'm out of here." And
it's so
yeah,
good.
my wife like had to like calm me down. It was wild. Like I don't usually get freaked out by stuff like that, but those movies really get me. I don't know. There's something about found footage is just so real and just like visceral and just in your face, and it just scares me more than any other movie, any other horror movie. But
Exactly. Yeah, like
um,
Taking of Deborah Logan. I love that movie, and that one really
oh, I
gets
haven't
me
seen
every
that
time I
one.
watch it. Oh, you need to see that. It's a great one.
There's
I love
a
Taking
lot
of
of
Deborah
ones that
Logan.
I haven't seen. Was it as above, so below, or
Oh,
is
love
that
that
a good
movie.
one?
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I
I
feel
think I
like
got it in
people
the
sleep on
collection
it.
too.
Yeah, check it out. It has like it's right behind. It has an amazing slipcover with it. I don't know if you have the slip with yours, but like that's neither here nor there. But it's a great movie. It's super creepy, and like I said, I just feel like people don't talk about it nearly enough. But definitely one of the
Yeah,
greats when it comes to found footage.
yeah. One of my favorites. You probably seen this one is Creep. That's definitely
Yes.
one of my favorites of Mark Duplass and Creep 2. I like Creep 2 a lot also, but the first one
Yeah.
was really special. I like
I
that one.
still need to see the sequel. I really enjoyed the first one, but I never got around to watching the
I
sequel
think
yet.
it's
So I
still
have to
on
see that.
Netflix. I think it's still
Yeah,
on Netflix.
I'm sure
I
it
don't know
probably
if they
is.
ever did. I don't know if they ever did Blu-ray releases for either of those movies. I have the first one on DVD. I found it at a half price
Okay.
books for like $4 or something.
Hmm.
I don't know if they have Blu-ray releases though. Like
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
those to me, like that would be awesome if Scream Factory did like some kind of collector's edition of Creep or something. That'd be pretty cool. Or Vinegar Syndrome or somebody like
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Just
I'd definitely be down for it.
yeah, those are both really good movies. The VHS movies as well. I really enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. I liked I haven't seen what was the most recent? 94? I forget what the most recent. I've missed that one so far,
99
but
was the most recent
99.
one.
I liked
94 was the one with
94.
Ratma. And then
Yes. Yes.
Viral. I think they're on their fifth one now. I think they're on
Yeah.
their fifth one. Viral I didn't enjoy, but the first two are really good, really solid.
Yeah. I like those a lot.
But you were talking about getting caught up with like 2022 releases, and my wife and I have a channel where we try to keep up with like the 2022 stuff, and then I'm also watching like all these older films. Like, how hard is it to balance like watching some of the older stuff? Because I know you're into physical media and collecting, and usually that lends itself well to watching like older classic films. Is it hard for you to balance that, like trying to stay current, but also trying to keep up with all the physical media stuff coming out?
Yeah, and honestly, I just don't stay current. Like I'm terrible with it. I
Yeah.
like whenever I'm, at work, right? People are talking about, oh, the newest thing that came out. It's like, yeah, I'll see it once it hits 4K. Like I went to the theater for the first time in 5 years to see Knock at the Cabin. So
Oh
like
yeah,
that's
I seen you
the
say
only
that.
like
Yeah.
recent thing I've seen in terms of like in the theater. And so I'm always so behind when it comes to new movies. And so usually it has to hit home media for me to catch up. And even then, like I find that I'll pick up like, a 4K of Warm Bodies and talk about that before I'll
Yeah.
pick up, whatever the newest release for, the newest Tuesday releases for that week. So yeah, it is very hard to balance, but I don't balance it. I always lean towards the older stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, and it depends on what you value and what you deem as is more important to you, I guess, in your
right.
movie watching. I mean, I know like when you probably hear a bunch of people talk about all these newer movies, you're like, well, I'm like just now watching all these like great like older movies for the first time. You need to check those out. But like
Right.
you know how it is. People that aren't in this world aren't necessarily as interested in that kind of stuff. I just watched Dress to Kill on 4K.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I've not seen that one.
I finished that one, Brian De Palma film, right before it was this morning. I watched it, but that was a great movie. That was a great
I,
movie
I hear
for
really
sure.
good things about it. Actually, I think I have it on DVD. Or on Blu-ray. I have to watch it, but I have not gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, do you have the Criterion edition? I think I got a Criterion edition
You know,
back when.
it's a great question. I honestly don't remember. I'd have to take a look. I may have. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. I always like to ask this question as well to my guests that come on. But what's the state of your physical media collection right now? Are you satisfied with your collection? Is it disorganized? Is there stuff everywhere? Do you have a lot of reorganizing to do, or is everything pretty good right now?
Yeah. So behind me, these are, this shelf over here is all my standard horror Blu-ray, so no boutique labels. And that's, A to Z like that. This side is basically all other non-boutique labels on Blu-ray, and that's alphabetized as well. And so I think in terms of like organization, it's all right. It's not great. And it's really a space thing. It's always a space concern for us collectors. But other than just needing more space, I think it's all right. And then in terms of being satisfied, like I'm never satisfied with it. And that's always the problem. That's why, I'll be at the thrift store, every few days. I'll be at Disc Replay, trying to find just different things I don't own. It's, is it an addiction? Probably. It just
Yeah.
it never ends for me. So yeah, it's never satisfied. It never ends. It's just going to keep growing until I, decide to purge stuff out. And that's what I do often. I'll keep buying. Then I get to a point where I'm like, this is ridiculous. And so then I'll, sell some things off or trade some things in and then just keep building it back up. It's very cyclical.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Are you more, a curation type of collector, or you just want as much as you can get in the collection, like as many films as possible?
I mean, yeah, it's such a good question. And I don't know that I lean one way more than the other. I don't want things in my collection that I look at and think, I won't watch this. I was talking about
Yeah,
this with my wife the other day, but when I'm standing at, Just Replay and I see a Blu-ray, it's like, at the time, I think, yeah, I want to watch this movie. I have nothing in my hand. But when you're standing in the store with nothing, it's a much different experience choosing if you want to watch that movie versus when I come home and I have thousands of options in front of me. And then I look
yeah.
at it and I'm like, am I really going to watch this? I don't think I will. And so, I'm definitely not a curator. I have way too much stuff, more stuff than I will ever watch.
How many Dollar Tree movies in your collection do you have that are like that?
Exactly. It's ridiculous. And that's why I say I've slowed down, which like if you compare, the last year versus the year prior, I have slowed
Mhm.
down on my Dollar Tree purchases because when I would go through the collection and say, oh, this I'm not going to watch, 90% of that was the Dollar Tree stuff. So it's like, why spend the buck on it, the buck 25 on it, if I'm just going to, trade it away for a quarter or a dime down the road? Like it doesn't make sense. And
I
so,
feel
yeah,
like
that's kind of
Dollar
it.
Tree was big for a while for collectors and
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I feel like me and you was going hard on the Dollar Tree around the same time because I
Yep.
would always look to you sometimes to I'd be like, oh, he just posted up a Dollar Tree haul. That means Dollar Tree's got some movies. So then I would go to the Dollar Tree
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
find some stuff.
Exactly. Yeah,
Um,
and they hit so well. People love seeing Dollar Tree videos, and that's something else to consider, right? We're
yeah,
collectors, but we're also
exactly,
YouTubers, and
exactly.
so it because it hits so well compared to like a review of a 4K movie or a review of something for me at least. It's like, yeah, I'll do a Dollar Tree haul. I'll spend $10 and find some movies or whatever. So
Yeah, I
it's
definitely
an
fell
element.
into that trap. I don't even have them on the shelf, or most of them. Like if it's a legitimate movie I found at the Dollar Tree, I do have it on the shelf. But a lot of the like super generic ones, I've got like in a
They're in your
tub
bin.
in a
Yeah.
crate over here. And like I don't know, I've admitted it before. I was like, I just picked these up for content. Like I went into Dollar Tree
Right.
and I spent $10 and I got a bunch of stupid movies like Pumpkins and just stupid movies
Yeah.
with stupid covers that I could make fun of. And I had aspirations to, do like a series where I talked about each one of them. But I
Dollar
watched the
Tree
first,
Diaries.
yeah, I watched the first one. It was Bride of Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I said I have no desire to ever do this again. This was
Oh
I don't
yeah.
like there's too many good movies that I haven't seen. I don't wanna
See,
waste my time watching that garbage. I don't know.
I know, and that's it right there. It's like I haven't seen, Lord of the Rings trilogy. I've still never seen Lord of the Rings movies,
Oh
which I
my
know is
god.
sacrilege to you.
Are you
Um,
kidding?
no, but
I
I've
gotta
seen
watch
more
those.
Asylum films than the average person has. That's for sure. Like I love the
Yeah,
Asylum movies, and so that's because I like trash like that. It's like, well, maybe I'll like this Dollar Tree movie, which
yeah,
sometimes they're fun. But it's like, why am I watching? Why am I spending 90 minutes of my life watching, Sharknado for the second time, as opposed to watching something that's a classic and genuinely like influenced movie history, something that's important. Like, why am I wasting my time doing this versus that? And it's like, well, it's all entertainment. So I just try to tell myself that, like, who cares? It's not a
yeah.
contest. It doesn't matter. Watch what you like, love what you love.
Yeah,
But you're right. I feel
that
that
is
too.
always the internal struggle, and I'm
Hmm.
always trying to figure that out. Even when you're trying to decide like what to watch for the night, it's like I could watch. Like last night, I was trying to pick between Blades from Vinegar Syndrome, which I knew was just going to be complete trash and schlock,
Right.
and or Dress to Kill, and I'm like, I'm gonna go with a movie that I'm pretty sure is going to be pretty great. So I watched Dress to
Hmm.
Kill, and I'll watch Blades eventually, but it is tough sometimes too, because damn good and well you're not going to watch all the movies in your collection.
No,
Like
there's no
that
way.
I talked about that before and I made peace with it. I know I'm not going to watch every
Hmm.
single movie, so it almost feels like every choice has weight to it now when you're going to pick a movie because it's like I
Yeah.
can go this way or I can go this way. I may never watch this movie that I had to pick that I had to say no to.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a weird
No,
thing
you're right.
when you get into collecting on this level. Um,
Exactly.
but
And then it's the choice between, do I watch this hour-long YouTube video or do I put on a movie? Like that gets me all the time.
yeah,
All the time. And so it's like, yeah, it's always a struggle. There's so many entertainment options pulling us in all different ways.
yeah. Do you because I have to keep the phone like away from me if I'm watching, especially if I'm watching a movie that I know I want to pay attention to. Now, if I watched Blades last night, I probably would have brought my phone out with me. But since I watched
Mm.
Dress to Kill, I'll leave my phone in the other room and I won't get up. Are you the same way, or do you have your phone on you when you're
I
watching
always
stuff?
have my phone on me, but if it's a movie, it's like you're saying, like if there's a movie I really like want to pay attention to, I put it to the side and I don't mess with it. Like I
Yeah,
don't like if with like Nope, for example, like I was watching that the entire time and I still feel like I missed something or like I didn't get it all the way. And so like I just want to make sure I'm paying attention to understand what's going on in the movie. And so yeah, if I'm on my phone, I just lose stuff. Like I can't pay attention to two things at once very well. So
yeah. Did you like that movie, by the way? Nope.
Nope, I did. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah, I
really
really
liked
liked
it.
it too.
I love Jordan Peele as a director. He's done some of the most interesting horror movies recently. I
Yeah.
just it's been so great. I need to watch the Twilight Zone series because the original Twilight Zone, one of my favorites of all time, and so like I'm very interested to see what Jordan Peele has done with it in his reboot series here. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like yeah, taking what I love from something like Get Out or Us and then mixing in like, the sci-fi element to it, all about
Yeah.
it. So I thought it was
Yeah,
really
it was
well
like
done.
Jaws in the air too, is what I loved
Yeah,
about like the whole third act of that movie is like the third act of Jaws, just kind of framed a little bit differently. But I
right.
really loved it.
Right.
Yeah, I Jordan Peele kind of reminds me a lot of M. Night Shyamalan, which is, another
Yep.
director I'm a big fan of.
Me too.
I don't think that Jordan Peele has had a miss yet, whereas Shyamalan has
Right.
had obvious misses in his
Yeah.
career. But most of Shyamalan stuff is at least interesting. You can at least say that,
No, I
except for
agree.
maybe Avatar: The Last Airbender or After Earth, which I think are just both horrible movies. But
Yeah,
everything else that he's done, I enjoy on some level.
yeah, and that's the thing. Shyamalan, I consider one of my favorite directors because he directed one of my all-time favorite films in Signs, and I
One of
like
mine too.
everything
Yeah.
else. Yeah, I like everything else I've seen from him. But I have blind spots with him. Like I haven't like there's that chunk between what was it after the Lady in the Water through Old. Like I still haven't seen Old. That was I was debating between do I watch Nope or do I watch Old. That was what I was debating today. And so I haven't seen that chunk
You
of
made
his
the right
filmography.
choice.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
um, do you like The Happening?
Oh, I love The Happening. Yeah, I know people hate that. I know you're not a hater, but
No,
like
I like
I
The
like The
Happening. I
Happening.
like The
Yeah.
Happening. I would say Old is it's it's not as goofy as The Happening, but it's
Okay.
riding that it's along the same lines, I guess is what I would
Gotcha.
say.
Okay.
It kind of reminded me of Happening Shyamalan more so than anything else, but
Okay.
it's an interesting movie, and I kind of like the way that it wrapped up, like the conclusion of it. I thought was pretty interesting. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
Shyamalan's
next on the
a
docket
great
here.
director. He's done some good. I love Glass too. A lot of people didn't love
Yeah.
Glass. I was a
No,
big
I
fan of
really like that
Glass.
too.
Split was awesome. He's done a
Yeah.
lot of great movies. Let's see. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning with your collecting, Brandon. Where did it all start for you? Is this something you adopted at a young age? Is this something that you've always been in the mentality of collecting, whether it's movies or action figures or books? Like where did it start with you and collecting?
So I think it really started with video games when I was really young. So my uncle was a big gamer, and so he would have like the NES, and I would always go to his house and play it. Then he would upgrade the system, and he wanted to get rid of his old stuff. He did. I remember vividly. He did a garage sale, and anything he didn't sell just came to my house. And so I was very fortunate that I just had a bunch of like options to choose from all the time in terms of the gaming world.
Yeah,
And then kind of stuck with that for a bit. And I remember, the Blockbuster days, VHS was transitioning to DVD. You could get cheap VHS tapes and things like that. And my mom would always take me up there, and she can't pass up a good deal. So, when it was like 4 for $20 DVDs or VHS tapes, whatever it was, she would always, let me find some things to pick up. And so from a young age, I've just always had like a lot of options to choose from, like I do now. So I was very fortunate. And then once high school hit, I started like making my own money. And I remember working at a golf course, and the one of the two owners, he had this big giant house. And I remember there was a theater room in the basement that he just had, hundreds, probably thousands of DVDs down there. And at the
yeah,
time, this is like 2003-ish. DVDs were pretty expensive to me, especially making $7 an hour at the golf course. And
yeah,
so, I just remember thinking to myself, like, that's the mark of success. Like this theater room and these DVDs, which is obviously so silly
yeah,
nowadays. But back then I thought that was so cool. And so that's when I started trying to buy more DVDs and try to build up my collection as, little as I could. And then I actually stopped collecting, which I never really considered myself collecting of a collector of DVDs at the time, but books was really what got me into the collecting mentality. After that, I did a bunch of video games. I worked at GameStop for a while, so things were cheaper, and it was before the video game prices went skyrocketing due to the pandemic, of course, and so things were just a lot cheaper. So I was able to buy a bunch, and so I had a bunch of video games, and then it was books. Bought a bunch of books. I was reading on Goodreads forums all the time, like what's some underrated horror books, things like that. And so I was buying a ton of books, and then that transitioned into finally movies, which is my biggest collection now. So started young, but didn't I just because I had a lot of options. I'm used to having a lot of options, so the collector thing kind of just went along with that, I guess.
yeah. Do you still collect for? I know you collect for books. I've definitely seen some videos on your channel for books and
Yeah.
manga and stuff like that. But do you still collect for video games to
Yeah, I
this
still
day?
have a huge video game collection. Yeah. Uh, much more recent. Like I've sold off. I was big to selling back to GameStop all the time. Like I used to do it all the time. And so all my old stuff is gone, but I've, picked up a bunch of things since then, like a lot of PS2, some PS1, not a bunch, but really like PS2, Xbox era. I have a ton of games from, and then
Yeah.
kind of onward from there. So yeah, I still have a very big video game
GameStop
collection.
had some wild rules back in the day. I remember I took advantage a lot. Like you could buy a game if it's used and play it and beat it in 7 days and then take it back
Yep, exactly
and
right.
then get another game. And I did that
Yeah.
like 4 times. And then I would usually like whatever game I like the most, I would settle on and go ahead and
Mhm.
keep it. But yeah, I took advantage of that a lot
Yeah, that
from
that was
GameStop.
fun. I remember I was working at GameStop when they started or when, they were selling movies also. They were down to, like, a small bin, but, yeah, I used to pick up movies from GameStop as well, which I feel like people don't even remember or think about nowadays.
Yeah, I do kind of remember them having movies. I've
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was a thing. There was another video game store we had around here. It was kind of a local chain. They had a big video or movie section
Okay.
in that store as well. So, all right. So you started. Do you still have VHSs in your collection?
Very
You still have some
few.
of
The
your
only ones that
VHSs?
were left over were for my wife, should very few of them, but then I've actually picked up, a number of them recently, not a bunch, maybe 3 or 4 recently, just because they looked interesting to me when I was out, and so, yeah, but not I really don't have a VHS collection to speak of, no.
Yeah. Do you buy them with the intention of maybe watching them? Do you have a VHS player? Or is it more like an aesthetic thing at this
No,
point?
yeah, I definitely bought them to watch them. Doesn't mean I'll get to them, but yeah, I
Yeah.
do have my VCR down here, and I actually just found a second one while I was out thrifting the other day. My mom wanted one because she has like old home videos that she wanted to watch, and so I picked up a second one. So if this one ever goes, I'll have a backup at her house. So I can watch them. It's just a matter of getting around to them.
Yeah. I definitely need to get a VCR. I've got several VHS tapes. I don't know if I still got a regular like a big box TV.
Oh,
Um,
okay, yeah, CRT,
yeah, CRT from back in the day, so I can watch them. I wouldn't want to watch them on my 4K OLED TV, but
right?
I might watch a VHS again. Someday. There's still movies out there that are on VHS that still haven't been upgraded to like DVD or Blu-ray, so they might be your only option for watching them going forward.
Yeah, and
But
that's like 2 of the 3 I picked up. I was at some flea market. I noticed like I was trying to do some research on them, and as far as I could tell, they're stuck on VHS, and so I thought they would be kind of interesting things to have in the collection.
yeah.
But yeah, so it's pretty cool. And then like old wrestling tapes, another thing I used to buy a lot of, and so I
I
still
feel
have
like we're
a
very
handful of
similar
those.
because yeah, that's what I remember
Yeah,
buying a lot back in the day. I would go to Suncoast Videos and it was like wrestling tapes and horror movies. And I
right,
remember buying a lot of
exactly.
that kind of stuff at the Suncoast Video when I was trying to build up a VHS collection. Or I remember
Hmm.
like collecting VHS and DVD like at the same time because
Yeah, like I never was like collecting with VHS. I owned a ton of VHS tapes, just like things that my parents would buy or hand me downs or whatever. But I'm sure I did, but I don't recall ever personally going out and buying like a new VHS tape. It
yeah.
was usually things that my mom would pick up for me from Blockbuster or something. But yeah, it was really DVDs when I started buying my own.
Yeah, I remember buying a Halloween triple pack, and I think it was like a Blockbuster exclusive or something, but I didn't buy it at Blockbuster. It was like at Walmart or something, if I remember
Oh, okay.
correctly. And I got my mom to buy it for me when we were at Walmart. I was probably like 11 or 12, and it had the first, two Halloweens, and then it had Halloween 3. Took them all home, watched them. When I got to Halloween 3, I was like, "What the hell is this? Like,
Right,
where's Michael Myers?" I
right.
never watched that movie again until like 5
Oh,
years ago, and now I love the movie.
yeah.
Um, but I did not like it then. Halloween 4 was actually the first one I watched, and that made me want to go back
Okay.
and get that triple pack. But I remember buying all the Friday the 13th movies on VHS, Nightmare on Elm Street, and then I would remember buying like Spider-Man on DVD and like Lord of the Rings on DVD. So I feel like I was collecting DVD and VHS at the same time. And
Okay.
for whatever reason, I didn't care to get horror on VHS because I just thought it like looked better and just added to the overall like mood and atmosphere of it for
Right,
some reason.
exactly. And that makes
Um,
sense still today. Like there are some horror movies that like are just made for VHS. And so like that's fun
yeah,
to see those. But
yeah, for sure. So you said back in the day, you didn't really see it as collecting. When did it evolve to the point that you're at now where you are an active collector that's seeking to not just get the movies that you love in your collection or that you're going to watch, but just building a catalog of movies, building a library? Like when did it evolve to that point? Was it the last 5 years, last 10 years?
Yeah, so I would say around 2009, I was in grad school at the time, and that's when I really started with books, and then that quickly transitioned over to start with movies. I think that's when I bought my first Criterion release, Night of the Hunter, which I actually just watched like a year or two ago finally, and is absolutely amazing.
That's a great movie too. I watched it
Yeah,
last year.
but yeah, so at that point, with Criterion, with the Barnes and Noble sale, that's when I really started, collecting and
Were they
realizing
doing
that I
that
was a
back in
collector.
2009?
And I feel like they were, but maybe that's just my memory
Yeah.
playing tricks on me. I can't say for sure, but yeah. And that's when I really started getting into Blu-ray as well. It was, I would go to Walmart a lot during grad school, and they would have all these like $5 movie packs on DVD, and I would buy a bunch of those. So it was, those four horror movies in one for $5, and so I bought a bunch of those, and then I started buying Blu-rays with those because I always had the system because I had like a PS3, to play them on. That's why I started doing DVDs because I had a PS2. I bought that on. I got that at launch because of all the trade-ins I did with like my Super Nintendo and Nintendo and
Yeah.
all that. So I was able
The
to get it at
PS2
launch.
would let you let you play DVDs, right? But the
Yes.
Xbox, you had to have like an adapter
Yeah.
that went
Right.
on it or
You.
something.
Yeah. I don't even know if you can. I don't. I guess you can. I think you need like the media remote though or something in order to play it
Yeah, I
on
have
Xbox or
that. Like
something weird.
I had
Okay.
that. I still have that on my Xbox. But it's like a little like a thing that goes in like a controller spot, and then you have the remote.
Right. Yes.
And that's what
Exactly.
I watched my DVDs on forever.
Okay.
Was the Xbox console.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved my Xbox when I got it. I got it after my PS2, obviously, but I would watch movies on PS2 more than I don't think I ever watched any movies on my Xbox, probably because I didn't have the media remote, so it never crossed my mind. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, so um, where did I leave off? I don't. Oh yeah, so picking up Blu-rays, yeah, and then just with the Criterion Collection, and then Scream Factory started releasing not too terribly long after that. Like I remember seeing their first couple releases at Target. What was like Halloween 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And getting those. And so I was, into Scream Factory right from the beginning. And then obviously they've
That's what I was
just
gonna say. So you were in it
exploded.
like from the beginning. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. I did. I listened to a lot of podcasts when I was in grad school because I was like starting to do my own podcasting at that point. And so because of that, like they talked about all these like, up and coming boutique labels at the time. And so, I was there when Scream Factory started, Vinegar Syndrome, when that was kicking off. It was obviously a much different company than it is today. But yeah, and so I was all
Strictly
about those
porn
boutique
back in
labels.
the day.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, so that's probably around the time. So I would say I've been collecting for probably 13-ish years, somewhere around there.
That's awesome. Now, how big is your collection at this point? Do you know the number?
So the app I use, the collectors app or CLZ, that one counts each movie in your collection. And so I don't know how many, like if there's a 5-pack, for example, that would count that as 5 movies as opposed to one entry. And so the total movies, it's getting close to 6,000, but obviously that number's inflated because, I think I have like a 50 movie pack from Mill Creek, for example. So it's
Yeah.
it's a bit inflated, but somewhere in terms of barcodes, probably four-ish thousand, I would say.
Yeah. Well, that's a good size collection. That is a good size collection for sure. Do you let's see. I want to get into, your channel and you as a content creator and when you decided to make the jump to YouTube or wherever you got started. If you got started on Instagram or Twitter or
Yeah.
anything else. When did Cinefessions start? What made you want to get on here and start talking, rambling about your movies like a crazy person all
Right.
the time?
Exactly. Yeah. So back in around 2009, 2010, I started podcasting for a different website, and then kind of took that to my own website when I got done with grad school. It was the Movie Files, and so my buddies and I were just podcasting. That's when I came up with the Cinefessions name. It was the Cinefessions podcast, and we did that for quite a number of years. I know we were over 100 episodes. Just talking movie reviews. We watched through like the Scream TV series season 1 and talked to each episode on those. And so that was, early 2000, 20 teens, whatever you want to call it. And then through there, and then stopped once my daughter was born. So in 2018 was actually the last episode of the podcast. And then I just been, wanting to do it since then. And then I was watching a bunch of YouTube channels like Heath over at Serial at Midnight. I was watching a lot of, and then really a lot of booktube channels I was getting into. And so if you look at some of my early content here on YouTube, a lot of it is more book heavy than movie heavy like it is now, just
Yeah.
because that's what I was watching. And so that's what I was talking about. And so, yeah, I got the desire to just give it a go, see what happens. And it happened to kick off January 1st, 2020, 3 months or whatever. Yeah. 3 months before the pandemic started. And so it was, when, just a ton of YouTube channels were born out of that. And so it
Yeah.
was interesting to see that growth. And then, just kind of keeping with it. I was fortunate enough in my first few months to get like be invited onto another channel and just talk about like a book recommendation or something, and then saw the subscriber count grow, and that's kind of the juice you need to just wanting to keep going. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it was 2020 when I got started, and yeah, basically went from the website to podcasting to this. Essentially was my progression.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense that you've been doing it for so long. You have a really good speaking voice. You just when I watch you, it feels like you've been doing this a while. Like you know
Oh,
what you're
thank
doing
you.
when you're talking. I feel like such a
I'm
jumbled
good.
mess whenever I'm talking. There's a lot of editing involved
Oh
in
gosh,
my
yeah.
videos to even make them sound coherent
Yeah,
most
if
of
I'm
the time.
filming anything, it's always like if I'm filming if a review comes out that's 20 minutes long, I have at least 40 minutes of filming behind it because I
Yeah.
can't talk. It's like, man, yeah, as long as I've been doing it, I feel like I need to be more concise and better with getting my thoughts together. But yeah, it's always a struggle. So,
Yeah. Well, you have a great channel, sir. So again, I recommend everybody that's watching right now definitely go over and subscribe to it. But yeah, that's definitely interesting because that's exactly when I got started, really. Well, I mean, I made some videos in 2019, but 2020
mhm,
was like in January. I remember I was like, I'm gonna really start to take this a little bit more serious because I was an Instagram guy before that. Like I was doing movie reviews, like written reviews on Instagram,
right.
and I was terrified to like put my face or my voice or any part of myself that wasn't like just behind the scenes in front of a camera and talk about movies. Um, so yeah, I was on Instagram for a while, and then in 2020, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to make at least 3 or 4 videos a week. I'm gonna try to do like Blu-ray hunts and all that. And then the pandemic happened, and I was doing like movie reviews. Like I would just go to the theater and do movie reviews and do physical media unboxings. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, what the hell am I gonna do now? I can't go to the theaters. I was like, all
Right.
right, I'm just leaning straight into physical media. There's still a lot of that stuff coming out, and that's when the physical media report started,
Right.
and all that stuff. And I just started leaning more heavily into the physical media stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I think I found your channel late. I want to say it was like late 2020 is when I ended up finding your channel. And I was curious because I did a video like recommending YouTubers that I was watching a lot of at the time. And
that yeah, that was one of the first videos I watched of yours. And but I
right.
had already
Yeah.
subscribed to you, so I probably watched a
Oh, okay.
couple before because I mean that showed up in my subscription feed when I clicked
Gotcha.
on it. But I
Yeah.
didn't expect my channel to be on that list. I was just like clicking on the video to watch it and
Yeah.
check you out. I was like, oh, cool. He watches my channel. That's cool.
Right. Yeah, and I was just looking back at the number. You had like 1,200 subscribers, somewhere around there at that point. And now, of course, you're, just blown up, which is awesome to see. And so that
Yeah.
was really interesting to like go back and see just 2 years ago where you were, and just, the hard work you've put in has really paid off. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, that's interesting, to think about because I don't feel like mentally, I'm like, I don't feel any different now than I did then. I just feel like I'm in the
Right.
same space doing the same crap like over and
Yeah.
over again. But yeah, it's definitely, caught on. I'm extremely grateful for that for sure.
Hmm.
Um, because you do put a lot of work in this stuff, as you know. So you want
Right.
it to resonate with it with somebody. I mean, back in the day, I thought it was cool as hell that two people were watching my video, and would even want
Exactly.
to comment or do anything like that. So let's see. What is your current mindset on YouTube now? Have you settled into a nice groove on there? Are you having any shortage of ideas, creative burnout, anything like that? Or you just kind of settled into a groove that you're satisfied with?
Yeah, I feel like it's always I'm never truly satisfied with it. Like I want to do more. I see other channels and what they're able to put out, and not even just like the consistency or how many videos a week, but what goes into their videos. I watch a ton of gaming YouTube channels,
Yeah.
and I think, man, like if I could edit, if I had that ability to edit like that, like what could I do with that, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just a matter of like always trying to improve and always trying to progress, which I don't know that, I feel like I don't know that I am progressing as much. I feel like it's just easier to talk in front of, the camera, but I would love to do just more in terms of like reviews and things like that. But if you look at the numbers, people don't care about reviews. People care about haul videos. And so that's why it just,
Yeah.
I kind of lean back towards that, just naturally. And I would love to do like more manga content because that's very popular. I love talking about One Piece, and people really liked those videos. And so just trying to do more, seeing what else you can do. But then, as you know, you got the family also, which is priority. And so it's always that balance of, what you can do versus what you want to do, what you have time to do. Because on top of all that, we still want to watch these movies. I'm a huge wrestling fan. I want to watch all these wrestling pay-per-views, all these, 3 times a week, watch wrestling, and then sports. Huge sports fan. So Sundays are pretty much all taken up by the NFL, and then college football on Saturday. So there's just so many different things taking your time. It's like, when can I dedicate time to the channel to really improve it, And so it's always a struggle.
Yeah, you definitely there's a cost to doing this. I mean, you have to give up time
Mm-hmm.
to do it for sure, and that takes away from being able to do the other stuff that you're passionate about. For me, it feels like I've definitely tried to, I don't know, slow it down a little bit, but it feels like whenever I try to, I always feel myself like ramping up even more. Um,
Yeah,
but it's always a struggle, and it's like, I work too, and I got a family, and
exactly.
it's hard to keep up with everything. And people's always like recommending, I need to watch this, I need to watch that. And people
Yep.
will act like if I haven't seen every single movie ever made, that why do you even have a movie channel anyway? So
Oh
you're
man,
always feeling the pressure from everybody else.
absolutely.
Um,
There's imposter syndrome is a real thing. It's like how,
yeah,
I would never consider myself like a movie aficionado or, an expert
yeah,
in film at all, because there are so many things that I haven't seen. And when I look at, talk to some other people that don't have YouTube channels or, do other things, they've probably seen 10 times the amount of movies I have. So why am I up here doing this? The imposter syndrome is such a big thing. And it's like, man, I feel like, should I be doing, like, am I worthy to be up here talking about,
yeah.
movies when there's other people that are just so much more knowledgeable about the subject than I am? But,
Yeah,
compared
I
to the
always
average
just look
person,
at
they
it
probably seen
this
more.
way. It's like this is, my channel, and this is
Yeah,
my journey through film. And I never claimed to be a cinema expert or
exactly.
aficionado or anything like that. It's literally in the name of my channel, Mid-Level Media. I name myself that because I'm just an average guy talking about media or movies or
Hmm.
whatever. Um, so don't make me into something that I'm not. I'm not a cinema expert, and I never claimed to
Right.
be that. This is about my journey. I want to watch a lot of these classic films and a lot of these important movies in cinema history for sure. But this is about my journey through that. And there's a lot of movies that I haven't seen. Everybody always gives me crap about it,
Yeah.
in the comments. But that's, that's my journey, and that's what this whole channel is about. So
Right. Yeah. And I feel like with YouTube, the larger you get, the more negativity you're going to see, just because it recommends your channel to more random people as opposed to the people that watch your videos every time you
yeah,
post. And so I'm very fortunate that at this point, I don't have virtually any negative, like the viewers are excellent. The comments are always so positive and nice, which I know that that's not always the case for some of the larger channels, which is unfortunate, but
yeah.
it's just the nature of the beast.
I mean, I'll say that I don't really have too much to complain about. I am fortunate for
Yeah.
sure. I'll go through the comments. Most of them will be very nice and supportive, and just trying to give me good recommendations and pointers
Right.
and other stuff. But there'll be some that I read that I'm just like, God, maybe I should just shut the channel down tomorrow. Like, I don't know what
I
I'm talking
know.
about, and I just need to quit.
Right.
So that definitely is a thing for sure. Let's get into. We talked about YouTube. We talked about how your collection evolved over time, and you as a collector. Let's talk about what type of collector you are. Some of the things that you enjoy collecting for. Some of your collecting habits. Are you a day one kind of buyer, or are you usually a wait for the sale kind of guy?
Typically speaking, I wait for the sale. If it's something I absolutely know I need to have, then I'll pick it up on day one. But 90% of the time, I'm waiting for a sale just because I'm cheap. Like I have a large collection, but again, it's been probably 13 years or whatever or so in the making, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely a bargain hunter because I like to get so much. You have to be.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the smartest way to do it. And I'm trying to get into that, but again, it's hard with the channel because you want to stay current, you
Exactly.
want to get new stuff because that's the stuff that's going to get the hits and is going to get
Hmm.
all the, you know, all the hit that YouTube algorithm and really, propel you and your channel. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like I can't just keep buying all this. I really have to narrow it down to like what am I actually going to have time to cover
Hmm.
and talk about on the channel. So I'm trying to do better at that, but I feel like I'm still failing every single month. But I know that you still pick up some stuff day one because you
Hmm.
do your video every month where you talk about some of the stuff you're anticipating and things
Right.
like that. But you just try to be
Yeah.
a little bit more selective with it.
Yeah, and I
But
try to stick with those five, and sometimes I don't even pick up all of those because they
yeah,
might have been more expensive than I, wanted to pay for them, or I found out something about them after I filmed the video that it's like, I don't really need that, or whatever the case may be. And if you look at, I was noticing this last month. If you look at my list, like it's a lot of re-releases. Like I buy a ton of 4K re-releases, which it might not be everyone's cup of tea, and I totally get that. But I'm more akin to pick up a re-release of a movie that I love on 4K versus picking up, something that, is brand new that I may or may not have seen.
yeah, for sure. Let's see. Do you buy a lot of the mainstream releases? Or are you more of a boutique collector, or what
Yeah,
do you lean more towards?
I would lean more towards the bigger releases just because they're cheaper. Like I said, I'm cheap, and so I would love to pick up all these boutique label releases. But nowadays, the price on the boutique labels is just has gone up so much over the past 10
Yeah,
years compared to back then, and there's so many more in the game, and so it's so difficult to keep up with the boutique releases. But that said, I did pick up. They released Vinegar Syndrome released the two wrestling documentaries, Wrestling with Shadows and the
man, I got
Glow
such
documentary.
FOMO over that Wrestling with
Oh
Shadows. Like
man,
I wish I would have grabbed that so bad. Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
like it. I definitely picked those up minutes after they were announced. Like I was so excited about
Yeah,
that. So and that was like, I'm like, man, these are expensive with shipping and because you got to get the limited edition slipcover because it's Vinegar Syndrome. They ended up
yeah.
being pretty expensive. But yeah,
That Bret Hart one's gonna be worth something. Like that thing sold out quick, very
yeah,
quick.
yeah. And if you don't care about the slipcovers, like you can get at least the last I checked, you can get them on Amazon, just
Yeah,
the standard Blu-rays of them. But yeah, like I'm
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 a
really excited
package
to dive into
collector,
those.
man. I'm
Yeah,
not even
I know
gonna
you
fool
are.
with
Yeah.
it unless I got that slipcover. Now I might get it at some point, maybe in a sale or something like that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. So, and then, I love Criterion. I don't ever buy a Criterion outside of a Barnes and Noble sale. It's just, it doesn't, or like a 50% off sale. It could be through Barnes and Noble or
has there been
criterion.com.
now that you said it, has there been any Criterion title that you just could not wait for and you got it on day one? Do you have
Man,
any of those?
offhand, I can't think of any. Offhand, I can't think of any. I mean, that's not to say that there isn't. Nothing comes to mind right away. Typically, I will just wait on those because I know, give it a month, give it 2 months, it's going to hit 50% off. So I try to be patient with those.
Yeah, and it also feels like though, like those can't miss titles a lot of the times will come out in the sale months, like July
Exactly.
and November. Like Wally came out in the sale month, and Malcolm X and Raging Bull came out in the sale month. Those are the ones that
Right.
I felt like I couldn't miss. But you definitely do feel stupid when you buy a Criterion day one, and then the sale comes along and you still haven't watched it.
Exactly. It's still
Like, why did I
sealed.
get
Like,
this?
yeah, it's like, why did I do that? Right. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that happens all the time. And so that's why I try to wait for the sales. And then like the one boutique company I haven't really messed around too much with is Kino Lorber. I might have a few in my collection, but I don't have a ton. But those, like I would can't buy those day one either. Like they go on sale so often. Like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Love that movie. Was a planned day one purchase, but I just never got around to it, or it was sold out or something. So
yeah.
I had to wait a few weeks, and it dropped in price versus when it released there too. It's like Kino titles just drop so quickly. So
I love Kino Lorber. Those sales, the Kino sales are like real sales. Like if you
yeah,
ever like took part in a Kino sale, like you can get 10, 11 titles for under $100 sometimes. Like
right.
great sales for Kino Lorber. Yeah, I love Kino Lorber. They definitely have a lot of good movies. Did you get Tropic Thunder on 4K?
I have not yet. No, no. I need to see that one. I've heard really good things, but I haven't watched that
Oh, you
one.
haven't watched Tropic Thunder yet?
No,
Oh my
no.
goodness. You got it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got to get that 4K. I know they're probably going to do a sale in March. Pretty
right.
sure they'll do a sale in
March
March. So
Madness.
I would
Exactly.
definitely jump on it because it might sometimes their 4Ks go down to like 16, 15, $16. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll add that one to the list then. It's good to know.
Let's see. Do you buy you do buy boutique labels? What's your favorite boutique label out of
I would have
all
to
of
say
them?
Criterion. I love what they do. It's the film school in a box. They're just consistently putting out interesting special features, and their transfers are typically great to see or to look at. So for me, I'd have to put Criterion up top, but Shout Factory or Scream Factory really was my favorite for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But the prices again have just gone up and up and up, and now they're doing all these re-releases with the 4K, and I buy them. Some of my movies, I absolutely like Dawn of the Dead,
Scream really
but
taps into that nostalgia
yeah,
more so than
exactly.
especially if you're a horror fan. I mean, if you've never
Right.
been a horror fan, then you have no nostalgia. But um, they
But yeah,
those Child's Play 4Ks, I definitely got super excited about when they came out.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so with Scream, that not only do the 4K re-releases, but then with the Blu-rays, they went standard Blu-ray or their collector's edition Blu-ray, and then Steelbook, and then 4K, and then 4K Steelbook, and so it's just a lot to try to keep up with it all. But I do have a pretty large Scream Factory collection that I love as well.
Well, you said you were collecting from the beginning. Did you?
Yeah.
Was there ever a time in your Scream Factory collecting that you were the type to try to get every single one of them? Were you that into it at any time?
No, no. I guess like when the first two came out, I had those. But even then, I think like was it Funhouse was also with them or Terror Train? I can't remember it offhand. But so I don't think I ever had a complete Scream Factory
Yeah,
collection in my life. But a new company that came out last year that I'm loving what they're doing is Visual Vengeance
Visual
Video.
Vengeance. Yeah,
Like it's just so fun. It's just these schlock
L.A. Age
garbage.
Jabber.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like these shot on video horror movies. And that's what I mean. It's like that's fun to me. Like I enjoy myself while I'm watching those. I may not have seen the classic over here, but I own and have
Never
seen
seen
all
Gone
of
with
the
the
Visual
Wind, but I've
Vengeance.
seen
Right.
L.A. Age Jabber.
Exactly. Exactly right. They're just dumb, fun releases, and they're loaded with special features. And I know, so I just really like what they're doing, and so I'm hoping. I don't know what's coming next from them, but I'm hoping it's going to be more of the same. But
I heard they put some like extra things inside their releases as well. Didn't
yep,
they put like a condom in something? Was it LAH Jabber or like a
yeah,
needle or a syringe or something?
they had yeah, one of them was like a needle. I didn't get that. I think there was like a second edition that you could have gotten that came with the needle or something.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like yeah, there was a condom in one of them. Yeah, like just I don't know. It's great stuff. Like it's really they know what they're doing.
Nobody else is putting releases out with condoms, so you got to give them credit for
Exactly.
that.
Like
You got to give them credit for
that's
that.
exactly right. Like yeah, they're very unique, and that's what I love about them. Like I don't know, they're doing something different than what the bigger companies are doing now. So I'm just excited to see what else they're going to do.
What was that other release? Big Muscle Bodybuilder or something?
Yeah, exactly. It
Bodybuilder
was
from Hell.
the Japanese Evil Dead. That was their either spine number 1 or 2. And
Oh, they
that was a
got
lot of
spine
fun too.
numbers.
Exactly. The
Damn, now I'm
collector's
gonna have to
weakness,
start
right?
grabbing them. I got that. I didn't
Yeah.
even know these were going to be spine number releases, but I bought that the story of Pennywise
Oh,
documentary,
okay.
and that apparently Screambox, which is a streaming service, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, it has a line now, a physical media line, and that was number 1 in that line, and then Terrifier 2 was number 2. So now I feel like I have to get all the Screambox exclusives, and I know I'm going to run
Yeah.
into a bunch of crappy films
Oh,
somewhere along the
absolutely.
line. But
Yeah.
now I feel like I have to get them because I have 1 and I have 2. So now I got to
Right.
collect all the Screambox exclusives.
Yeah, I didn't realize that because I have seen the Pennywise documentary at my Best Buy,
I've
and
heard
I'll
great
have
things
to
about it. I
take a
haven't
look
yet
at it.
watched it yet, though.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
All right, so this is the age-old question right here. Are you a steelbook guy or are you a slipcover guy? Which one
So
is it?
I was big into steel books for a while there, but then I said, nah, I'm done with these, and then was like all about the slip covers, and that's really where I am now. Like I would typically prefer a slipcover versus a steelbook, but if you can give me both in one, like Lionsgate, I'm all in. That's awesome. Give me a
It's nice,
slipcover on
isn't
my
it?
steelbook. Yeah.
Do you try
But
to
yeah,
collect
so
all those, the Lionsgate steelbooks?
I collect what looks interesting to me. Like I haven't, there's a few of them I haven't gotten, but those are like some of the best 4K releases out there right now, given like all the factors with it, how they look, the
They
price
changed the
of
game for
them.
steelbooks. They really
Exactly.
did.
Yeah. So they just, oh, what was their most, I'm going to forget, but there was their most recent announcement I was really excited about, but I'm totally forgetting what it was now.
Was it the
But
David Bowie film?
yes,
The
because
Man Who Fell to
Criterion,
Earth?
that's been out of print from Criterion for years now. And it's one that I've been wanting to see and pick up. So I'm looking forward to that one. And the slipcover with the steelbook just looks awesome. So yeah. So to answer your question, I lean more slipcover than steelbook, but I am not like some people. Maybe it was someone on here talking about how they won't buy a 4K unless it has a slipcover with it. Like I'm so cheap, man. Disc replay is where I have probably half of my 4K collection from, and they come with slipcovers or they don't because they're used. You never know, and so I'm
I
not
don't know
picky.
who that
I'm not
was. It
picky on
sounds like a
that.
package collector, though, that doesn't love movies, whoever that was.
Yeah, but yeah, so
I'll definitely buy a 4K without a slipcover, but there is that
mhm.
extra added incentive sometimes when something comes out to get it with a slipcover, like on day one. A
Yeah,
lot of the stuff, like I've learned the habits of like some of the studios, and you can kind of tell which movies are still going to have the slipcovers, which are not. And sometimes you just get
mhm.
screwed, like if it's the Northman or something like that,
Oh,
slipcover
okay.
ran out like almost immediately. Um, but I'm trying to be more selective when it comes to like new studio 4K releases because like when Black Friday rolls around, like they're $10, like almost guaranteed on all
Exactly.
those releases. So I'm trying to hold off on those. And a lot of times on Black Friday, they'll restock a lot of those studio stuffs with the slipcovers. Like they'll be brand
Yeah.
new, like fresh slipcovers, repressed and everything on the shelf. So
Right. Exactly. Yeah. What
uh,
kills me is when I get a slipcover that's damaged or messed up in some way. Like I just hate that. Like literally, I bought Terrifier 2 on 4K from a store pickup because there was none around me by the time I decided I wanted it. I
yeah.
had my sister pick it up for me by her house. I get it finally, and it's damaged. Not only is the slipcover damaged, but like somebody just stepped on it or something. And I took it back. I'm like, I'm done. And so I don't have Terrifier 2 on 4K
Yeah.
now because of the damaged slipcover. I was like,
I mean, that's
this is silly.
expensive. That was like what,
Exactly.
$35 or something like
Right.
that?
Yeah.
And
So
I mean, you could have just waited for a sale and not got it brand new. So I mean, that stuff
right.
is definitely important to collectors.
Mhm.
What do you think of boutique labels like Screen Factory just putting out these collector's editions with no slipcover, like it's nothing.
Yeah, that's
What's your thoughts on
disappointing.
that?
Yeah, like, I think Doctor Giggles, okay, I'm super excited for Doctor Giggles hitting
That should
Screen
have been a
Factory.
collector's edition Blu-ray. I just some of the
That's
stuff they do
yeah,
is so
I couldn't
puzzling to
remember if
me.
it was collector's edition or not, but it's like, yeah, that should be, you're absolutely right, like, the fact that it's not is disappointing. Yeah, and if it's a collector's edition, like, you know your base. We're the people who are keeping you in business, right? Like,
Yeah.
spend all this money on these re-releases that you keep doing, like, beef them up a little bit, make them worth
And
our
to
money at
charge
least.
20 or I think it's $28. Like
Yeah.
I do want to get it, but it's
Mhm.
like $28 for a Blu-ray with no slipcover. I know it's about the movie and I know it's about the special features and all that stuff is still going to be present, but it just feels like such a ripoff
Yeah, and
when
then
a
look
new
at
4K release from Screen Factory with a slipcover is $27.99 as well.
mhm, right, and then look at something like Vestron Video, 12.99 for the Dennis 2 collection, newly commissioned art that looks
Got it right
amazing,
here.
special features, yeah, exactly. So it's like, that's why the $28 Dr. Giggles for just the Blu-ray by itself feels like a ripoff when I'm getting, something from Vestron for $13 on release day. Like, it just,
Yeah.
you need to step up your game when there's with these new companies kind of, you know, playing a bigger part and playing a bigger role. I just would like to see the companies like Scream Factory kind of step up a little bit more than they may have.
Yeah, I mean it's total BS. I mean and that's why like I've just been getting more into Vinegar Syndrome. I know not all their movies are bangers.
Exactly.
They definitely have a
Yeah.
lot of crap, but it's like they release all their new Blu-rays with slipcovers. They release their new
Mhm.
4Ks with slipcovers. In some cases, these big, beautiful hardbox cases like sidekicks on 4K. Like
Right.
that was just mind blowing to me because that was a movie I grew up with. I loved that movie, so I was so excited
Okay.
when that got announced. Um, and they're just everybody feels like they're killing it except for Scream Factory right now in terms of
Hmm.
packaging. And that new slate they just announced yesterday with The Haunting coming out on 4K, no slipcover. I think Brotherhood of the Wolf on 4K has a slipcover. And then it's like
Yeah,
Skyline on 4K, which
right.
who cares about that? That's like
Like
a Dollar Tree movie.
who's asking? And mind you, I like Skyline. I'm not a Skyline. I enjoyed it the first time
Yeah.
I saw it, but
I
like,
haven't
who's
seen it.
asking
It
for
could be
Skyline on
great. It
4K?
could be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's not, but we definitely need to see it. But like, who's asking for Skyline on 4K when there's some other things, like so many other
They have
options
so
for
many
them, you know?
movies that they
Yeah,
could upgrade to
crazy.
4K. It's like, do you all not have the rights anymore? Like, what's going
Right.
on? Why are you resorting to releasing The Haunting, which I figured Paramount would have done that one on 4K. Why are they
Exactly.
giving up the rights for that? Or did they own that one? I guess they own that. I mean, they put out a Paramount Presents release of it.
Right. That would be
Um,
my assumption. I'm so bad with like studios and who owns what movies and things like
yeah,
that. I'm terrible with that, but that
I'm
would be my
trying to
guess.
learn, but yeah, I definitely slip up a lot. Wikipedia is my friend when it comes
Yeah.
to for that kind of stuff. I'm learning more just because I cover it so much. But
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
I'll be like, why is this person? Why are they releasing this? And somebody will be like, well, back in 2005, this person sold the rights to this to that. Like, how do you all know all this stuff? Everybody
I
knows so
know.
much, which I'm so thankful for. My audience and the commenters dropping knowledge on me like that because I've
Exactly.
learned a lot from the people that comment on my videos for sure. But
Yeah.
um,
Like Scream Factory was like the OG, right? Like they were the criterion of horror movies back when they released, back in when they first started putting things out. And they really set the stage for that. And so the fact that they're now kind of being surpassed by these other companies is disappointing. It's like you have to evolve, do more.
yeah.
And obviously, I feel like Scream Factory is kind of their secondary line to Shout Factory. But in terms of money making, I can't imagine that Scream Factory doesn't do well for them. And so you would just
I
want
don't
to see
know,
more from
man.
them.
Yeah, it's just it's puzzling because it feels like their idea of evolving is just let's re-release all our movies on 4K
Yeah.
and let's put out some of them without slipcovers. And it's just like, what are you all doing? Like you know your fan base, you know that's not going to fly. How many more copies of Freaky on 4K would they have sold if they just put a slipcover on it? They would have
Right.
sold so many copies. They would have sold so many
Yeah.
copies of Ouija if they
Oh,
slapped a
right.
collector's edition with a cool slipcover. They would have sold all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. It's like
Yeah. And then
I don't get it.
like with these 4K upgrades, you're not getting any new special features on some of them. It's just simply, just the 4K upgrade, which is great. We want to see the movie in the best
Yeah.
format possible. That's awesome. But then you put that premium price tag on it as well. And it's just, yeah, it's just a
But
turn off, I
again,
guess.
Lionsgate,
Right.
$12.99,
Yeah.
new special features. Like there's like 2 hours of special features on this that are brand new. And then
Right.
they did Highlander, and those they had like 2 hours
Hmm.
of new special features on that. Um, so everybody else just feels like they're upping their game, except for Scream Factory at this point.
Yeah.
There's other nitpicky things I could say about Criterion and Arrow Video as well, but I think for the most
Right.
part they're doing good work. But
Yeah.
um,
Not we want to change the subject, you can, but with Vinegar Syndrome, I was, I loved them when they were not brand new, before, when they got into the horror game, I guess.
you
And
really
then
gravitated towards them when they got the porn.
right,
They're putting out
exactly.
all kinds of porn
Uh,
releases.
but then I because their prices were going so high, I kind of backed out. But now looking at them again recently, and just the quality that you're getting for their price tag feels a lot more legitimate than some others.
Oh
And
yeah.
so that's why I've been looking more at Vinegar Syndrome lately again. But
I think Scream Factory's I don't know when it'll be, but I feel like their days are numbered if they don't start changing some things and really looking at what the hell. It's like they're not even paying attention to what's going on around them. Like, do you all
right.
not see what Vinegar Syndrome is doing right now?
Yeah,
Severin
they got the
or some of
blinders
these
on.
other companies? Like what are you all doing? Are you just so far like you feel like you're so far ahead of everybody else that you don't feel like you have to do anything new? It's gonna bite them in the ass one day. It
Right.
definitely is. Do you do a lot of I imagine you have a very large collection. You have not watched everything in your collection. Do you do a lot of blind buying? Is that do you
Yeah.
find that exciting? Is that a cool part of collecting for you is the blind buy?
Yeah, I definitely do a ton of blind buying. I was actually just looking at my statistics from my 20 because I'm a nerd, so I have like an Excel sheet with all my my purchases on it for the last, like, I don't know how many years now. And I was looking at last year, and it's like almost like a 75-25 split in terms of blind buy versus something I've seen before. Like
Yeah.
I love doing blind buys. They're more exciting to me. Like I know I said earlier that I would gravitate towards like a new 4K of a movie that I've seen in the past versus something that I haven't. But that's very that's very rare, I guess, in terms of a 4K re-release that I've seen that I really want to upgrade. Because
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, if there's, two movies in front of me, one I've seen, one I haven't, I will, 3/4 of the time, I guess, will go toward the one I haven't seen before. And so, yeah, that's like Halloween Ends, for example. It's on sale right now. And it's like, well, I've seen that, but Black Adam's also on sale. Do I want to buy both? I mean, yeah, I probably could given their low price right now, but I went with Black Adam over Halloween Ends because I've seen Halloween Ends, which,
Black Adam gets some crap.
uh,
It's not that bad. I kind of liked it. Okay,
yeah,
it's not awful.
yeah,
I
I'm,
know
I'm
it's not
looking forward to
exactly a
checking it
ringing
out.
endorsement, but it's fun.
Right.
It's
I've heard
fun.
the 4K is excellent. And so,
Oh yeah, it looks spectacular.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll rock my system. That'll be fun.
Yeah, my only problem with the movie is you have The Rock and he has 0 charisma in it. So it just kind of feels weird to watch The
The
Rock
Rock with
with
0.
with
Okay.
no charisma.
Yeah,
He's
that's
just
weird.
so bland and stoic like throughout the whole movie. It's
I
playing
feel
so
like
against like The Rock's type.
yeah, that's as I say, that's a feat in itself. How do you get Dwayne The Rock Johnson to not have any charisma? Yeah, that takes a director. So I'm very intrigued to check this out now.
But it's an action-packed movie. Like the action flows like throughout the entire film. Like it never takes a breath. So I enjoyed it for that. But
Mhm.
do you want to explain like why? Because some people don't get it at all why we blind buy. They're like, why? I only buy the movies that I've seen and I know I'm gonna love. What is it about blind buying uh, to you that makes collecting exciting? Like why are you into blind buying so much?
Yeah, it's just the unknown. I mean, this could be a movie that changes my life in one way or another. Something that I absolutely love, a new favorite of mine that I want to revisit over and over again. Or it could just be hot garbage. Like I have no idea, but I think just the excitement of the unknown is there, or people have recommended it to me over and over and over again, and so I want to go that route. It just looks awesome. Like I've seen something for it that looked really good, and so yeah, I mean it's a great question because like you said, a lot of people. I only have things in my collection that I've seen and I love,
To me,
but
that's so boring. No disrespect to anybody,
it's
but that's just
limiting.
so boring to me.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm with you. Like it's, yeah, it's just like my collection is, it's always going to be here as long as I am. And so, I haven't seen this movie behind me in the 5 years I've owned it, but hey, in another 5 years, maybe I'll see it. Maybe I will absolutely love it. And so, yeah, I love adding things that I just don't know that much about into my collection. And maybe they'll be kind of, the next big thing for me. My favorite movies were at one point things I'd never even heard of, never seen prior. And so you never know when your next favorite's going to pop up. And so I don't know, that's like a great answer without thinking about it too hard, but
That's a
I
good
just,
answer.
the unknown, you never know what awaits in those, hour and a half, 2 hours in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. Uh, I know you do a lot of thrifting, but I was going to ask, do you do a lot of thrifting stores, pickups, and things like that? Is that primarily where you get a lot of your physical media?
So primarily, I would say is Disc Replay. I shop there all the time, and so that's not a thrift store, but it is a used media store, and I love that. But thrifting would probably be number two, just because I just love going to the thrift store, and that's the thing. Like with my collection, like I love the hunt. Like I love going out and shopping and trying to find just different things I'd never heard of before. It's like my favorite thing to do is go out to the thrift store or Disc Replay and just see what's going to be on the shelf. It's always a crapshoot because 75% of the time you go and there's nothing worth grabbing, there's nothing worth looking at. But every once in a while, you're gonna find that one thing that you've been looking for so long, and it kind of just like reinvigorates you. And it's like, yeah, this is why I like doing this. And so, yeah, I love thrifting. Obviously, with thrifting comes a lot of DVDs. It's very DVD heavy, but every once in a while I'll get lucky. Like I recently found a bunch of like Blu-ray 3Ds at my thrift store, at my local thrift store. So yeah, you get lucky sometimes. I think that's what makes it fun. So yeah, I do. I love thrifting. I love shopping at
I don't know
Salvation
about.
Army and all those.
I haven't been to a Salvation Army yet.
Okay.
I definitely need to check those out because I've seen people pick up some monster hauls from Salvation Army, but
Yeah.
I think the closest one to me is like 45 to 50 minutes away, so I would have to like
Uh,
plan a day to go out there.
yeah, and
Um,
that's rough because chances are you're not gonna find anything worth taking home,
yeah,
and that's a lot of driving for that, so
because my Goodwills recently, I don't know, I feel like a couple of years ago it was pretty good, but recently everything's just been really bare and dry, and it's like
mm,
I maybe find like a couple of DVDs I want to add to the collection. Um, but definitely not a lot of Blu-rays I'm finding at Goodwills anymore. I never really did, but every now and then I would get lucky and find some Blu-rays. My main spot is the half price books. I'll get some pretty good deals there. But I don't know if it feels this way where you're at, but does it feel like they've kind of jacked up the prices a little bit on some of those thrifting stores in the past couple of years?
yeah, so that's why I like Salvation Army. They're 2 for a buck. Whatever you're getting
Yeah.
is 2 for a buck. But if I go to, like, Goodwill, then they're more expensive, and they were, went from, like, $1.99 up to $2.99, I think, for
Oh,
even
really?
I think it was even DVDs. And then Blu-rays are like $3.99, I think, or something like that right now. And so yeah, I feel like they've gone up in price. But that's why when I make my thrifting rounds, usually it's just I hit up the Salvation Armies because they are so cheap. And
Yeah.
Goodwill, I'll go there if it's like, well, I'm in the area, I might as well stop in. But yeah, they've definitely jacked up the prices on some of their stuff for sure. But
You have any good flea markets or peddlers malls or pawn shops that you go to as well? I got a few of
not
those in my area. I haven't been to them in a while.
Yeah, so I know there are there's some like pop-up things that happen that are supposed to be really good. Like church sales will pop up every so many weekends or whatever. And I've not been to those. There's someone who watches my channel who lives in the area and he was telling me about them. So I definitely
Yeah.
need to hit those up. But there is a flea market that I went to recently. It's usually not very good, which is why I don't go very often because the prices are quite high. But that's where I was able to find a few VHS tapes for a pretty good price that were looked interesting to me, and so I grabbed those. So not a ton of flea markets that I go to in my area, but I know there are some more that I probably should investigate a little more and visit.
Yeah, I used to have a great one like right across the street from my subdivision and it closed
Yeah.
down. So
Oh
I can't
man,
go there anymore.
was that the
Um,
Peddler's Mall? Was that what that was called?
it was God, I can't even remember the damn name, but
Okay.
you probably watched several of the
Yeah.
videos I did going there because it was like
Right.
so easy to go there. It was literally right across
Exactly.
the street. So I went there all the time, and it was a great spot. They had all kinds of great like VHS tapes and Blu-rays and DVDs. Just so much to pick from there, and I don't guess they were making good enough money to keep it open because they shut it down. So
Right.
definitely
Yeah, and
disappointing.
right. Yeah, and speaking of all the YouTube channels I watch, I was, watching. I watch a bunch of like resell channels, and where they literally their goal, mostly video games, just to go in, find something cheap, and then they'll sell it for a profit, and that's how they make a living. And one of them is like in the Arkansas area, and all the thrift stores you go to, I'm just like, man, like these are awesome thrift stores. Like I wish I had cool ones like that by my house, but and maybe I do,
Yeah,
and I'm just missing out, but yeah, there's some really cool flea markets out there if you're, in the right area.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's see. Do you buy only 4K Blu-ray? I know you said you still purchase DVDs. Do you still buy all three of the formats still pretty
I do.
regularly?
Frankly, I guess I'll only buy DVD used because I'm getting it for 50 cents, or at Disc Replay, they're like 60 cents when you factor in the deal. So I spend
Yeah,
very little on DVDs. And frankly, I would love to stop, but like it's all about access, right? And so something's not necessarily available on Blu-ray or 4K, like, I want that DVD of it. And so I'll probably never stop buying DVD because there'll always be things that will never make it past that format. But
yeah,
I love 4K. My biggest collection is DVD just because it's so cheap and I've been collecting it for so long. And then Blu-ray, and then 4K. And so, yeah, I love the 4K format and was excited to adopt it. It just took me a little time because I had to wait until I could afford the TV and all that
yeah.
stuff. But yeah, I love 4K, but I do collect all three formats at this point.
So does the format, really matter to you? Or you, if you love a movie, you want to watch it in the best possible format? Or are you okay, with Blu-ray or DVD?
Yeah, it's like I never have a perfect answer, I guess, like because most of the time I want to say yes. Like if there's a movie I love that's getting that re-release, I'm buying it. Like Dawn of the Dead, I just talked about that recently. I owned that on
Oh, that was
DVD,
a great
standard
4K
DVD, and then
too.
all the way up. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I know we just
And so
crapped on
yeah,
Scream Factory for a while,
right,
but that was one of their good ones. Like that was probably one of
yeah.
their best 4Ks I've ever done, in my opinion.
Yeah, their Blu-ray release of the Dawn of the Dead, their collector's edition, that was such a weird picture quality to me. Like there was so
Yeah.
much film grain that it was like distracting to me. And I'm one like I understand film grain is supposed to be there, and I want it there, but there
Yeah.
was so much. It was so awkward. Like it was just distracting to watch. And this
Yeah, I
new
get it.
transfer that they did looked amazing, and so I really liked that release.
Yeah, I thought
But
it did
yeah,
too.
so there are some that if I love it, I'm getting it. Like some of my like Signs needs a 4K release. If that hits 4K,
Mm.
that'll be a day one purchase.
I think
But
it's Disney. I think it's Disney.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I
and
think,
so
yeah.
yeah. But if there's a movie that I haven't seen yet, then I try to, and I own the Blu-ray of it. I will try to hold off and make sure I like it before I decide to upgrade to the 4K of it. So
Yeah. I didn't realize The Village did not have a Blu-ray release.
yeah, that's one that's stuck on DVD, which is
That's
insane. That's
crazy.
one that feels like it has to get a 4K release at some point. Like it just not a
It
great
has
not
to.
not a great one, but I
Does
still
Lady in
want
the
it in
Water
the
have a
box.
Blu-ray release? Because I
Not
have
that
that
I
on
know of.
DVD.
No, yeah, me too. Yeah, and I don't know about Lady. I don't think Lady in the Water does either, which is
Yeah, that's crazy.
disappointing.
Yeah,
But I know
those again.
Happening does because I own that one.
The Happening does. I got that one at. I remember. I think I got that at Dollar General. Remember when Dollar General had their price glitch
I
for like
didn't take
3
advantage of it,
years
but I
in
do
a
remember
row?
it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember people
Oh my God!
getting it.
I increased my collection by at least 100 Blu-rays over those two. I think they did it 2 years in a row.
That's awesome.
And the next year, I think they fixed it, and then you could get them,
Okay,
but you get them for $1.25, and I went
that's
crazy. And
crazy.
I had a good selection at all the Dollar Generals that I went to back then. Not so much
Yeah,
anymore, but so I
yeah,
stocked up on a lot of cool movies for $1.25 a piece.
yeah.
That
I
was a
know.
good time to be a collector.
Yeah, exactly. I know Sue was she used to shop at Dollar General a lot,
Yeah,
and that's how
yeah.
I realized, oh, I should check out mine, and mine just have nothing. Like I'm so disappointed with my Dollar Generals around me; they have nothing good.
Recently, yeah, it's all the same old stuff. Like I don't see them getting any new stock anymore.
Yeah,
They were getting new stock in like crazy a couple of years ago. Big Lots too. Big Lots every now and then I'll go in there and I'll see a few new titles, but most of the time it's the same old stuff that they've had for years.
it is. And actually, I just recently went to Big Lots and was able to find some new things, but it is a lot. Like you have to stretch out your visits more now than you did even a year ago, I would say. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of the same old things that they've been trying to sell. It's like, well, put this down to your clearance $1.25, and then maybe I'll I'll grab it, but I'm not paying $5 for that. So
Yeah, five
excuse me.
dollars for some of the crap they sell. No way, no way. I have found a few really good. Some people are finding 4Ks at Big Lots and Dollar General, and I've never found a 4K
I
at
found
Dollar
Cliffhanger.
General.
I found Cliffhanger on
Yeah, I
4K at
remember when people were finding Cliffhanger.
yeah
Yeah,
at Big Lots.
and Mask of Zorro, I think on 4K for $3 was showing up at the Big Lots a couple of years ago.
You're right. I got that one too. That's how I got my Mask of Zorro. I forgot. I was on vacation when I found that one. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some good pickups right there. All right, so let's speaking of movies that never came to Blu-ray, what's some of your wish list movies that have never come to Blu-ray or even 4K? Just some movies you would like to see come out within the next couple of years.
Yeah. Like Panic Room. I love Panic Room. Such a
I was
great
on the
movie.
slate last year and then it just got ripped off like 2 weeks before it's supposed
Exactly.
to come out. Same with From Dusk Till Dawn. Like I was
Yeah.
so looking forward to that one.
Yeah. I would love to see that. And then we already talked about Signs. Like that needs to get an upgrade. I just from Blu-ray to 4K.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
such a good
Um,
movie.
Another one I absolutely love, and I think I talked about this in a video recently, is Day After Tomorrow. The fact that that doesn't have a 4K release is super disappointing because it'll sound and look amazing. Like I need that
Yeah,
on 4K.
it's Disney, so I don't know. Maybe we'll get it. That might
Right.
be one that they'll do, but I don't know. I don't see it. I feel like that one would sell really well because I feel like everybody talks about wanting
Exactly.
that one on 4K, and now we're getting the core on
Yes.
4K.
Yeah.
I talk so much crap about that movie. I kind of do want to get it and rewatch it just to reminisce
Well,
on it. 'Cause I remember seeing it in the theaters, and I remember like nodding off and like falling asleep while I was watching it.
yeah, my
Um,
wife loves that one, so I'll probably be grabbing that one for her because she's a big fan. But
but Deep Impact was just announced, and
yeah, I
I
saw that.
love that movie, so I cannot wait for that on 4K.
Yeah, she was just watching that one the other day, actually, on whatever it
That's a
was,
great
the streaming
movie.
service. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I always liked that one when I was a kid in comparison to Armageddon, which I love Armageddon too. Don't get me wrong; it's a
yes,
super
I do
fun
too.
movie.
Yeah,
But the comet or asteroid actually hits in Deep Impact, whereas it
right.
didn't in Armageddon. So it just has that extra oomph to it to me. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I love Michael Bay films. Like, they get such a bad rap, but I'm such a mark for Michael Bay films. Like,
you
just give me
can't beat
something big and
80s
dumb.
Michael Bay, man. It's like The Rock and
Exactly.
Bad Boys and
Right.
Armageddon. It's like that's some
It's
good
just
stuff.
fun.
He's got a lot of good movies. I'd say almost every movie he's done outside of Transformers, I like on some level. I
Okay.
can't
Now,
get down with the Transformers movies, but
were you a big Transformers fan as a kid? Is that
no, I missed the boat on that. I mean, those were
okay?
80s cartoons, so
Mhm.
I was more like Ninja Turtles, Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man, and but I don't know. It's such a I don't know if you were you into all that stuff because I know we're close to the same age.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not Transformers, like Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, things like that.
Because it felt like people like just 2 or 3 years older than me were always talking about He-Man, Thundercats,
Yeah.
Transformers, so I, like, just missed that wave, I think, as far
Yeah,
as
me
being, like,
too.
young enough to wanna watch all those. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, I feel the exact same way because I feel like we just missed it, like you're saying, and it's people love those shows, but I never watched any of them when I
no,
was growing up at all.
I
So
didn't either. But no, I was not a Transformers fan. I liked the first Transformers movie.
okay.
I remember seeing it in the theaters, and, I enjoyed that one quite a bit. But, what was the one that came after? Revenge of the Fallen? One of the worst theatrical experiences I've ever had my entire life. I hated that movie so much, and I still
Oh
have not
man.
watched any of those sequels after that. I haven't watched Dark of the
Oh,
Moon,
okay.
The Last Night. I feel like I've seen bits and pieces of Age of Extinction because I was kinda
Mhm.
curious because it had Mark Wahlberg in it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I haven't actually sat down and watched any of the other sequels, which I will at
Okay.
some point. Bumblebee, I loved. That was great. I saw that in the theaters, loved that movie. But all the other Michael Bay ones, I don't like.
Okay. Yeah. See, I really like the Transformers movies, but I know most
Yeah,
people
me
just
too.
aren't big fans of it. Typically, when I hear people that aren't huge fans of it, though, it's because they were big fans growing up and they just
Yeah.
don't like what he did with it. But
No, that ain't I haven't even seen the
I like it.
animated movie that came out on 4K. I haven't even seen
Oh
that one.
gosh, I don't. This is a hot take, but I don't like that one. I didn't get into that movie at all, which
Okay.
is a lot of people love that film, and so that's not a popular thing to say. But
Right now,
I
you
just
got
wasn't
people in the
a fan.
comment section typing right now,
Right.
"What is it? This guy doesn't even like original Transformers."
Right. Exactly. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited for the one that's coming out. I think it comes out this summer. And I
the
can't
new
remember the
one.
director's name, but that's the same guy that did Creed 2. So as long as it
Okay.
doesn't have Michael Bay attached to it, I'm down for it.
You're
And
gonna give
I
it a
did
shot.
not watch Transformers, but I sure as hell watched Beast Wars when I was a kid because that came. I remember that
Oh,
coming on in
okay.
the morning, and
Yep.
that's like the cousin to Transformers. So that's supposed to have
Right.
like the Beast Warriors. What was it? Optimus Primal, I think is his name. Yeah, he's supposed to be in it.
Okay. That's
It's supposed to like
awesome.
incorporate some of the beasts and stuff. So I'm looking forward to the new Transformers that's coming out
That'd be really
for
cool.
sure. Let's see. Well, as we're getting into wrapping things up, do you ever stream movies or TV? Do you do a lot of streaming,
Oh
or are
yeah.
you primarily physical media?
No, and that's like I stream a ton. My wife like won't put in a disc and ever, and so if we
Yeah,
own it on
mine's the
physical
same way.
media, it's like yeah, we might as well not own it. So in her mind, and so yeah, so we do watch a ton of streaming. And honestly, I'm just lazy sometimes. So like I'll find something on Hulu or Shutter to watch instead of walking down to my collection. So
Yeah,
there's a spot for all of that, right? Like I'm not one versus the other. Like there's definitely a place for all of it. I love having my physical collection because you can't take that away.
yeah,
But I definitely am a streamer as well. And there's, some things that just hit streaming quicker, like Megan, for example. I was able to watch that the other day, and that's not available
Now you
physically
don't have
yet.
to
So
pay $23 for the Blu-ray when it comes out.
exactly, exactly right. Yeah, I will wait for a sale on that one, but I do want to own it. Like, I hope there's like a bunch of sequels to that, and it just gets more and more ridiculous as the
Yeah,
sequels go on.
that
But
was very fun. I enjoyed
yeah,
that one. Lots of shades of Terminator in that movie as well. It's like Terminator
hmm
and Child's Play almost mixed
yeah,
together.
exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking
Uh,
while I was watching it.
what are some of your favorite streaming services? What's like your top two?
So I use Hulu a lot just because of the different TV shows they have on there. We watch Family Guy all the time. We just finished like Bob's Burgers. We watched through the entirety of that again. So we use probably in terms of use, we use Hulu the most. But in terms of like interesting content, well, I use Peacock a lot also just because they have the WWE network integrated into it. And so I watch a
Yeah.
ton on there too. But
Now I used to. You
um,
talk about wrestling. I used to be a massive wrestling fan, but I haven't
yes.
really watched it since probably 2014 was the last time I
Okay.
was at least following the storylines and stuff. Now,
Right.
do they have like full episodes of Raw that you can watch on there, or
You,
do they just do the pay-per-views?
They do. They're like delayed by so I forget how long. Like I think on Hulu you can get them next day, and then on
Oh, so they
Peacock,
still do the Hulu thing where
like
they
I
condense it
think
down to like
so.
90 minutes or something? Because I used to watch those.
Yeah, I don't. I guess it would be because they wouldn't have the commercials. So yeah, it would be. I honestly I never watch Raws or Smackdowns on there. I just like use it. My friend, we share a YouTube TV subscription, so I just watch them on there
Yeah,
when I watch them. So I'm
yeah.
not 100% sure. I use WWE Network for like the pay-per-views and a lot of the old
I used
stuff
to have like the
I get into.
network, so
Yeah,
they kind of put all that on Peacock. Is like everything
yeah.
that was on the network on Peacock now?
Not 100%, but they're
Because they
getting
had like
closer and
every
closer.
pay-per-view on there, and
Right.
yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people, I mean, the Peacock move sucks because Peacock is just, in my opinion, the worst streaming service out there. Like, even when
It's
like
not
you're going to
great.
watch a wrestling pay-per-view, like you can't start at the beginning. You have to just pick up live. Like
Yeah.
it's just I can't stand Peacock. But
Oh god, you can't
um
start at the beginning?
no, it's so
Well, I remember
ridiculous.
WWE Network had a problem with that too, where
Oh,
like
really?
if I didn't get into it live, if I tried to go back, it would go back, but it would like skip
Hmm.
like crazy and do all kinds
Oh,
of
okay.
weird stuff if I tried to do it. That
Yeah.
was just my maybe it was my internet, I don't know, but I just remember that back when I had the network.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't remember that problem. That doesn't mean it didn't exist. It just I don't remember it. But
Yeah.
um yeah, so I forget what I don't even remember where I was going with that, I guess. But yeah, the Peacock's not my favorite of the services, but I do use it a
No.
lot just for the old wrestling pay-per-views and the new stuff, obviously. But
Yeah. So Hulu is one of your favorites. Did you get there was there another one? Is it
oh,
Netflix?
Netflix, we actually just got rid of Netflix the other day. It finally ended for us. Like I'm
Oh man.
just tired of paying the price for it. And like I watched Resident Evil on there, which everybody hates, but I thought it was good. I enjoyed it for the most part, and they
TV
canceled
show?
that. Yeah, yeah, the TV show. Mindhunters, one of my favorites that Netflix has ever done. They're not bringing season 3 for some reason. So I'm like, well, why am I
No.
paying for this? I was watching because I'm a big true crime guy. So I was watching Dahmer, which I was enjoying it, but I ended up like missing the last 2 or 3 episodes. I never got around to them. So hopefully that comes back and maybe I'll resub at that point. But yeah, it's just the price is not justified for us. We don't use it enough. So I got rid of that. But then Shutter is cool just because they have, it's obviously a horror fanatic's best friend for streaming.
Yeah.
Um, and then Tubi, I think, is super underrated. Like
Oh, Tubi's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, you get the ads, but you get to see a lot of things on there. Like basically, if anything, I forget which company it is now, but there's a company that does a lot of that like $10 schlock at Walmart that comes out on DVD. It comes out like the same day on Tubi, and all of the Visual Vengeance releases, like I was talking about, those are all available on Tubi also. So like,
Yeah.
there's just so much random stuff on
If you
Tubi.
want to know like what or if you want to know like what certain like boutique releases for you, like chances are it's probably on Tubi. Like they have a lot of
Yeah,
Arrow Video stuff. They have a lot of Vinegar Syndrome stuff.
right, right.
Like I'll look up movies all the time that are getting ready to come out on Blu-ray from one of the boutique labels, and it's on Tubi, and it's like
Yeah,
they just have almost everything on there. It feels like a lot of
yeah.
stuff.
It's a super underrated service. I used it a lot when I was doing like
The ads
14
are
days of
annoying, but
Yeah, they are. They are. Yep. I know I'm someone who pays for YouTube Premium because I hate ads. I spend the extra money on Hulu because I hate ads. So like, yeah, the ads kill me, but that's what you get for
yeah,
free. So
hopefully, I know that their whole thing is, it's a free streaming service, but it'd be cool if they upgraded maybe and you pay like
yeah.
$3 a month or something
Right,
or to
exactly.
get it without ads. Because like I said, they got a good catalog of movies on there. They really do.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't they have some exclusives as well? Don't they have
They
like,
do, yeah, Tubi exclusives. Like, I think it was the Terror Train remake is a Tubi exclusive,
yeah, I'm
and then
sure
the
that was a
sequel
banger.
to the remake was a Tubi exclusive. So just as two examples, but
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Okay, let's see. Shifting gears a little bit. It's like I said, we've been going for about 90 minutes now, so I definitely don't want to keep you all day. Why is physical media important to you? Owning movies physically. Why is that something you do that you feel like you need to continue to do, especially in the age like we were talking about of streaming, where everybody's just
Yeah.
streaming stuff now?
Right. And I think the easy answer is just, availability, access. You can't take this away from me where you can take anything away on Netflix or anything. And I feel like that's even more true nowadays because I always thought, oh, well, that's a Netflix exclusive. Like, there's no way that's ever leaving Netflix. But I was reading some article recently, like, that's not true. Like, they are getting rid of some of their stuff that is, I don't know if it was Netflix, but maybe HBO Max. That was like exclusive to their
HBO Max
platform. And
definitely is.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I
made
haven't
by
heard
them.
Netflix do it yet. I haven't
Okay.
heard them do it yet, but
Yeah, but it's like just they are taking things
doesn't mean they
away.
haven't. They could
Yeah.
have kept it quiet, but
Right, exactly. Yeah. I feel like the article I was reading had a specific example, but my memory's garbage, so I can't remember what it was. But yeah, so I feel like that's even more, important nowadays. And then I honestly, like I talked about earlier, like I just love shopping. Like I love going out and shopping for physical media, and because of that, that just results in a collection. And
yeah,
so, that will probably, that desire to go out and try to hunt will never end. So therefore, my collection will just continue to grow. And it's about paring it down to make it manageable as I go along. And so, having access to something is super important whenever I want to watch it. There's movies on my shelves here that I've owned for 10 plus years I've never seen, but one day I could get around to that when
one
I
day
want
you're
to,
gonna get to it.
And so,
We like to keep
just
telling
having the
ourselves
option.
that.
Exactly, exactly. So just having the option to do that whenever I want is super important. So,
Yeah.
you know, I I think that's probably the easiest answer and the one that most people can connect with and it makes sense. But on top of that, for me, it's just I love going out shopping and trying to find things. And so because of that, the result of that love is my
Yeah.
collection.
No, that's a good, honest answer. Um, as far as physical media, what's your thoughts on the state of physical media today? What's going on? We have all these incredible, amazing releases coming out from boutique labels. We got some good studio stuff as well. It feels like physical media is alive, but then on the other side, you have the rise of streaming and the definitely the lowering of physical media shelving space and departments at stores like Target and Walmart. In one aspect, it feels like it's dying, and another, it feels like it's never been healthier. What's your thoughts on the state of physical media today?
Yeah, I think you said it best in one of these videos where you said, no wonder the average person who walks into Walmart, walks into Target, thinks that physical media is dying because they don't see it anymore. Like it's not there as much. And so that makes sense. But people like us understand that that's not really the case right now. Physical media is thriving. It's the best it's ever been. You just got to go
Yeah,
to Amazon. You got to go to vinegarsyndrome.com. Like you have to do it online in order to find those things. And that's fine. Like I shop online for everything nowadays anyway, so that's not that big of a deal.
yeah,
And so I feel like we're in a very good spot right now. And what's interesting to me is like the future. So I know everything is, when is this boon of physical media going to end? When are we going to be just done? Are we going to
yeah.
go all streaming
There's only
eventually?
so many movies, right? Like, how long can
Right.
it keep going? Like, are we
Yeah,
just gonna see everything
exactly.
re-released to 4K, and then where do we go from there?
Where do we go from there? Because is 8K going to be a consumer format? I really don't think it will be. But
No.
people probably said that when they were holding their VHS tapes too, right? There's nothing going to be better than this.
Yeah, that's true.
But what's the future? I feel like it's going to be cyclical, like everything. Like vinyl came back, VHS is super popular right now again. I feel it's though it might remain a more niche thing, it'll probably be here still because people are realizing with some shows leaving the streaming services. I've seen a couple different articles recently talking about kind of the average person realizing that these streaming services, anything can go at any point. And if you want to watch The Office and you only have Netflix, well, now you're out of luck because now that's a Peacock exclusive. So now you got to add another
Yeah.
streaming service. They're going to get sick of that, is what I'm thinking. And so I'm hoping, maybe this is just kind of, being a little ignorant or being a little optimistic, but I feel like we might go back around to streaming reaches its peak, which you keep adding all these different streaming services. Eventually, that's going to be a burnout as well for the average moviegoer, average person watching a movie.
Yeah.
That's going to kind of break off, and we'll get back to this physical media and physically holding, owning our discs. People might want that more. I don't know if the future looks the same as it does now with a 4K disc and a Blu-ray disc, but I still feel like there's going to be something physical there that, down generations from now, people will still want to get back to. So I don't see this as a dying format or dying thing. I just feel like it's evolving, which you have to evolve or die, right? So I think that's where we're at now, is maybe kind of turning the corner on streaming because there's so much junk out there, so much stuff out there for options that might turn back to physical media. But
Man, how cool would it be if in 5 years you go back into Target and they've added a couple more rows for movies because
right.
physical media got popular again? That would be awesome.
Exactly. And maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years, 15 years. I don't know. We can't say the
Yeah.
timeline, but that would be great.
So we talked about, we don't think 8K is coming. Do you think that Blu-ray and 4K is the final format? Is this like the vinyl that's just going to carry this medium film through the decades to come? Is this what we've
So
got?
I would say in my lifetime, I don't think we're going to do anything more than 4K
Because what
in
else
terms
is
of like
there
a
really?
consumer format. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Besides streaming, like that's the next step. But what else
Right.
is there as far as physically?
Exactly right. Yeah. Like you think about all these movies, the highest they were probably filmed at is going to be 4K. A lot of these were shot at 2K and then upgraded to these 4K discs. And so like you can only do so much. Now, obviously, if you have like 35 millimeter film or something, I'm sure that would look different if you had like an 8K transfer. But like, I don't know. I just hear about the amount of hours, the amount of time to do these 4K transfers. You have to double that with 8K. Our studio is really going to do that. So it just doesn't feel like a legitimate consumer format. And so
Yeah.
that's why I feel like buying it on 4K, at least for my lifetime, is probably the last time I'll have the desire to purchase that movie again.
Yeah. I mean, because what's the next evolution of physical? Like getting some kind of player in your head installed and you put this
Right.
little chip in there. That's the
Yeah.
movie. And then you play it in your brain,
Like maybe
which
it's
is a scary
VR.
thought to think about.
Like
Yeah.
maybe they
VR.
transfer into VR. Like I don't know. We'll see.
That could be something. That could be something for sure. But Brandon, look, it was great having you on. Cinefessions is the channel. Everybody in the description below, definitely subscribe to Brandon. You do a lot of great content, man. I've been enjoying your content for a very long time, so it was definitely cool to have you here today to talk about physical media and collecting and all that good stuff. I appreciate you being here, man, for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ken. It's been great. And like same with you. I've been watching your channel for years now, and always appreciate and enjoy what you are putting out. And especially, even over on your Married with Media channel, you guys are just always consistently putting out great content. So
Yeah.
thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
We try. I don't feel like it's great, but it's what I can do.
It's entertaining, and that's what matters.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And again, this has been World's Biggest Collectors, episode 49. Real quick before we go, I'll let you promote yourself and your channel. Let people know maybe what you got upcoming. Now, this episode will be out in a couple of weeks, probably. So
Yeah.
by the time it comes out, maybe you already did the stuff that you're promoting. But I'll give you a second to promote yourself and your channel. Let everybody know where they can find you over at Cinefessions.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ken. Yeah. So again, on YouTube at Cinefessions, where you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, but really kind of more of a one platform, a one social media type of guy. YouTube is my big thing. And in terms of upcoming, probably more of the same. If you're into different media types, obviously, watching Ken's channel, you're going to be a big movie fan, which I am as well. And so if you're into that, you might want to consider subscribing. But books, I talk books as well, manga, like I said, kind of anything media related, I'm into. So if that interests you, maybe check it out. And if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. This has been World's Biggest Collectors. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Definitely comment down below on anything that we talked about. here today. Give Brandon some crap for not liking Transformers, and also give him some crap for not watching Lord of the Rings. Damn it, you need to watch
Right?
Lord of the Rings like immediately. Those movies are so great. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe to my channel, but also more importantly, subscribe to Cinefessions. That link will be down below, and we'll see you guys later.